Hi everyone, welcome to July week 1 forecast. So in my previous video I shared the bearish bias for the outcome of July. I said zero chance of an ATH, and also I made a forecast for the monthly time frame saying that I expect July to close on a red. So that is a monthly time frame forecast, and it does not imply any suggestions there for a trend line in July. I've never mentioned anything about a trend line there. So be very careful how you are interpreting my forecast, because these forecasts are for people who know how to interpret data. You know, the forecast is what it is. It's nothing more, nothing less. Sorry, I clicked by mistake. Okay, so all I said in that forecast is that I'm expecting a red closure of July, nothing more, nothing less. And now let me come back to the chart. Okay, in terms of a trend line in July, this is the first time I'm going to make a forecast involving the trend line. And what we're going to do now, we need to get a bit more technical in terms of assessing what is going to happen during the month. And you can see all of these fractals, they belong to cycles that are running right now in Bitcoin's life and in our lives. Some of it is bearish, heading down, and other ones are heading up in July. These are just for July. Don't make again any assumptions that whatever is bullish now is gonna keep being bullish, and whatever is bearish now is gonna keep being bearish. This is a July forecast, right? So I have deliberately adjusted the screen to show only July. Okay, so you can see it's impossible to make a decision like this, because we want to be technical. We don't want to be stupid like a lot of people on Twitter sharing extreme biases. They're either extremely bullish for Bitcoin or extremely bearish for Bitcoin. My forecast for July for the monthly time frame is simply on the monthly closure. It could be $200 less than June in terms of the monthly closure. You know, my forecast is strictly technical for the monthly time frame, and so far my forecasts are running with 100% accuracy in 2025, and in 2024 I achieved 80% accuracy over the course of the 12 months. So it's not a bulletproof system, but it's a good system. And now we're faced with this. We're faced with all of these fractals operating at present. I have explained these cycles to my subscribers, by the way. I'm not going to bore you in this video to be covering all what these cycles are, because we don't even know whether Bitcoin will be following them or not. So in the passage of time, we will find out. So in a situation like this, when we're facing with conflicting cycles, we go for the easiest one. We go for the easiest forecast possible. We're looking for a place where the fractals are converging. The majority of the fractals are converging on the same statement. And the first point like this is the 4th of July. Okay, you can see here that suddenly 4 of the fractals are singing the same song. Look at them. They're showing 4th of July to be higher. 4th of July higher. 4th of July higher. This one is kind of either higher or slightly lower, and this one lower. The majority, so the three out of 5 are definitely higher. One of them is indecisive, and one of them is lower. So based on this, we're concluding that 4th of July is expected to close higher than the previous 2 days. So that is the forecast, the first forecast for this week ahead. That's the data that we have. Okay. The second forecast that we're making for this week is that the 7th of July, on a weekly time frame, is expected to close higher than the 1st of July. So I'm making a weekly time frame prediction in this forecast, in this video. This is the 7th of July, and you can see on every single fractal the price is higher than the 1st of July. Eclipse 1 fractal, Venus fractal, again price is higher. Chinese fractal, the cream fractal is the Chinese fractal, the price is higher. Eclipse 2 fractal, again the price is higher, and only the green fractal, the price is lower. So based on this, we are forecasting that the 7th of July, the price will be higher because the majority of the cycles are projecting a higher price for the weekly closure. And at the end of the day, majority always wins over minority. So the next thing that we need to check is if there is anything else that we can see here in that first week of July. So what do we see here is today is a bottom on how many fractals? On eclipse 1 fractal, on Venus fractal. Let me just highlight it a bit better for you. So today, this is the 1st of July. It's a bottom for eclipse 1. It's a bottom for Venus fractal. The Chinese fractal bottoms tomorrow. And it is a bottom for eclipse 2 fractal. And it's even bottom for the green fractal, which broadly is a very different fractal than the other fractals. So again, based on this, that the majority here are converging on the same statement that tomorrow will be higher. What happens on the 3rd of July? Again, majority are converging. Do you see well on your screens? So this is the 3rd of July. High on eclipse 1, high on Venus fractal, high on Chinese fractal, high on eclipse 4 fractal for July the 3rd, and lower on the green fractal. So first of all, the use of these fractals is to make a forecast, because we always need to know. For humans, it's very important to have psychological preparation. We need to know what is going to happen, not only to profit financially, but also for a psychological preparation. If something bad is going to happen, the more in advance we know, the better. And the third reason we actually benefit from knowing what is going to happen is that we in that way know on which fractal we are. The more we know on which fractal we are, and the earlier we know that, then the sooner and the more accurately we will be able to forecast the days ahead. Because you can see here that the fractals will be diverging on 5th of July. On 5th of July, some of the fractals start heading down. So hopefully, in the next 2-3 days, we will be able to figure out on which fractal we are before the 5th of July, for the purpose of opening a reasonable short here, because many of the fractals then are heading down on 5th of July. But if not, we just have to be patient, and we just have to wait and see until we gather sufficient evidence to know on which cycle, on which fractal we are. Eventually we will know. If 5th of July doesn't provide enough evidence for us, this is the first crossroad here, the 5th of July. Then we have a bigger crossroad, which is the bigger crossroad is the 7th of July. So from the 7th of July, the eclipse fractal carries on higher, and the Venus fractal heads down. In fact, the Venus fractal heads down from the 5th of July. But from 7th of July, it will become a lot more visible which fractal we're on. And that is it. So all we need to do is be patient for a week until we figure out on which cycle we are. And from there on, it will be very easy to know what is happening after that. If Bitcoin heads down from the 5th of July, then the likelihood is that Bitcoin is on the Venus fractal, and then it's heading down. And if Bitcoin continues up on the 5th of July, then the likelihood is that it will be on the eclipse 1 cycle, which is stopping later on in July. And actually, look at that, the date when the mostly different these cycles is the 16th of July. The eclipse cycle is forecasting a top on 16th of July, and the Venus fractal is forecasting a bottom on 16th of July. So instead of us trying to guess on which fractal we are right now, we need to accept that we simply don't have enough evidence. If we want to be fair, if we want to be scientific, we have to accept that today, on the 1st of July, we actually don't know whether the 16th will be a top or whether the 16th will be a bottom. And this is a very important skill, to be honest with ourselves and with other people, to say, at this moment in time, I don't have enough evidence to actually make a conclusion what is going to happen in July. I need for a few more days to see which cycle we're going to follow before I actually decide. There is no need to pretend, like a lot of astrologers that I know. A lot of astrologers are holding either a bullish bias or a bearish bias without actually doing an accurate assessment of what cycles we're on, what is going on with these cycles, and they're holding on to the slow speeds that are taking place in the month. And I already used those slow speeds of the month. These are the slow speeds here, right? I already used those slow speeds, and based on the slow speeds, I made slow speeds of the planets, by the way. Based on these slow speeds, I made a forecast that I expect July to close on a red. But that is all that these speeds can do. They can make the month close on a red, but they cannot change the trend line. The trend line depends on these cycles. So we can have a bullish trend line for the whole of the month and still close on a red. It's very possible to do that. And at the moment, I've already made my forecast for the closure of July. And now I want to narrow down. So I'm narrowing them down week by week. So for week 1 of July, I'm forecasting that it's highly likely that it will close on a green, because the majority of the cycles are forecasting a higher price than where we are today. 4 of the cycles out of 5 are forecasting green price, particularly on the 6th. They're forecasting a higher price, and then on the 7th it drops lower, but it's not much lower. So the price is still higher than the 1st of July. So we're using the tools to give us as much information as possible, and that is all we can do. We don't have to figure out every single time frame in the month, every daily, every weekly time frame, and we don't have to pretend that we know every single time frame in the month. People who are sharing those rigid biases about the month of July, they will suffer, because July is a very weird month. Like you can see here, these cycles, the eclipse cycles, are very bullish and they're very serious cycles. And then on the other hand, the Venus cycle is very serious cycle, and it's bearish, bottoming here. So we have to tread very carefully, and this first week, tread very carefully. Take one daily time frame at a time. So tomorrow, the 2nd of July, we're expecting it to be higher. See what happens. If tomorrow, the 2nd of July, is not higher, then it is invalidating the eclipse cycle, the Venus cycle, and this green cycle as well. Then the only cycle that is valid is the Chinese cycle, if tomorrow doesn't close higher. And then we take it from there. Then we need to see at least 3 days sustainable presence on one sustainable price on the same cycle to make a conclusion that we are on the same cycle. Just 1 day is not enough evidence, because it could be just for 1 day and then it can jump up again on the other fractal. Okay, so to summarize, we're expecting the 2nd of July higher, we're expecting the 4th of July higher, that's the evidence we have. And we're expecting the weekly to close, on a green for week 1 of July. And then in the next couple of days, we will gather more evidence to see on which cycle we are, and we will be able to proceed with caution then. Bye for now.